Hello and welcome back to another episode of Teaching Partner. Let's talk about something that will change how you see every student who walks into your room: neurodiversity. Here is the simple truth. For a long time, education has treated one kind of brain as normal and every other kind as broken or behind. But that idea is not science, it is just habit. Neurodiversity flips that habit on its head. It says that brains are like fingerprints, no two are exactly alike. So, where did this idea come from? The term neurodiversity was first used in the late 1990s by an Australian sociologist named Judy Singer. She was autistic herself, and she argued that conditions like autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and dyspraxia are not diseases to be cured. They are natural variations in the human genome. Think of it like eye color or height. You would never say blue eyes are disordered because brown eyes are more common. The same logic applies to brain. Over the past 20 years, this idea has moved from online communities into classrooms, universities, and even workplaces because it works. According to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, approximately 1 in 36 children in the United States is autistic. The World Health Organization estimates that 5 to 7% of children worldwide have ADHD. And research from Yale University suggests that up to 20% of the population is neurodivergent in some way. A 2020 study published in the journal Nature Reviews Neuroscience confirmed that neurodevelopment variations are part of normal human diversity, not errors of development. Another report by the neurodiversity charity Ambitious About Autism found that neurodivergent students who receive inclusive teaching are 3 times more likely to report feeling motivated and capable in school. So what does this look like in a real classroom? The application is surprisingly simple. You do not need a special degree or expensive equipment. You need small shifts. For example, instead of assuming every student can sit perfectly still for 40 minutes, allow quiet fidget tools or standing at the back. Instead of only giving verbal instructions, write them on the board and add a simple picture or diagram. Instead of one high-stakes test, offer options: a written report, a short video, or a 5-minute talk. These changes do not lower standards, they simply remove roadblocks. The scope of neurodiversity is huge. It covers autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, Tourette syndrome, and even some acquired brain differences. But here is what most teachers miss. Neurodiversity also includes strengths. Many dyslexic thinkers are brilliant at seeing the big picture and solving complex problems. Many autistic students have deep focus, loyalty, and honesty that no textbook can teach. Many students with ADHD bring creativity, humor, and energy that can light up a discussion. Now let's discuss some practical tips we can use in classrooms. Tip number 1. Give processing time. Ask a question, then wait 10 full seconds before calling on anyone. Neurodivergent brains often need an extra moment to organize and answer. Tip number 2. Use clear, literal language. Avoid sarcasm or implied meaning when giving instructions. Say, please open your book to page 12. Not, I wonder if anyone feels like opening a book today. Tip number 3. Create low sensory corners. A quiet chair with a screen or a set of noise-reducing headphones can save a student from meltdown or shutdown. Tip number 4. Normalize movement. Let students stand, stretch, or walk to the back of the room if it helps them think. Tip number 5. Share your lesson plan in advance. A simple bullet list of what will happen in class reduces anxiety for every learner. So, take a breath. You already have the most important tool: your willingness to learn. Neurodiversity is not another burden on your to-do list. It's a lens that makes teaching easier, kinder, and even effective. Because when you design for the edges, you serve the whole circle. And that is not just good inclusion, that is great teaching. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this video is very useful for you. So thank you very much. If you have any question, query, or you need any support for making a decision, don't hesitate to write an email to theteachingpartner@gmail.com. Thank you very much and see you in the next video. Goodbye.